minute to say it. Look at Joey Janela.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Janela, and look at how hard he has had to promote. That man was the face of independent wrestling for 2 years. Who else can you put their name in the title of a show and sell it out because his name's in it? Nobody. Dead nobody. The other people tried it, and it failed. But look what happened. He blew out his knee, and he has had to try as hard as he did in his last comebacks like 2 years ago, after the Zandig injury.
Mm-hmm.
He's had to try just as hard, publicity-wise, marketing-wise, to get himself back, and he shouldn't have to. Like, if life was fair, if this business was fair, if we didn't live in a 24-hour news cycle, people would have been sitting at home going, I can't wait for Joey to be back. I can't wait for Joey to be back. No, they wanted to find the next thing, and Joey had to fight to keep their attention. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just where we are. So you're absolutely right. You got to fight to stay on the back page of the paper. You got to fight to stay relevant. Otherwise, there's always going to be another show. There's always going to be another guy. There's always going to be another girl who wants it more than you. And if you don't act like the next guy wants it more than you, you're done.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's, again, I say it with any business, whether I'm doing a show, say like Big Event or Legends of the Ring, or,
Mm-hmm.
In April we're doing Heroes and Legends in Indiana. Now, I'm only as good as my last booking. So if I bring in a booking and it's successful, I mean, obviously fans are not going to know what the dollars and cents are at the end of the day. But if people walk by my table and I'm sitting there twiddling my thumbs like Virgil, then you know what? That was a failure. That's not a successful booking. Now, if I'm at a table and there's a constant flow of people coming and going, buying and asking questions, taking pictures, then that's a successful booking. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to make money, and that is the goal. But at the same time, it doesn't always happen, And some of these promoters, don't know the difference between math. Apparently, you can't say that, I paid this guy $2,000 and I made $3,000, so I'm plus $1,000, and totally forget the fact of how much money it costs you to get that guy there, hotel, food, all the money and merchandise you bought for him to sign, your travel expenses, the cost of the table to sit at, et cetera, et cetera. Before all said and done, you probably lost $2,000. So that's why when people, sit there and ask questions about like bookings and stuff, and I do mail orders, I never get that question about trust. Nobody ever says, hey, if I send you money PayPal, how do I know I'm going to get this? Like, I never have that problem. And people who do get those questions get insulted and they get upset. And I try to explain to them, you're only good as your last booking. So if your last booking, they go back and they saw that you brought in Virgil or Brutus Beefcake or somebody who's been there every single show, they just think you're a fan that paid money to bring somebody in. You've got no, credentials. You literally don't.
Well, let's be fair. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. And it's not even in my line either. It's in your line too, because...
Well, look, here's the thing. I'm still, I stepped over from a fan side into production and commentary 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
8 years ago. And I still have to fight the stigma, because I still, 8 years in, it's still pretty green, dude. Like, I still got a lot to prove. I still got to prove constantly that I'm not just a Mark boy who somebody gave the book. Let's be frank. Like, let's call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized that, there's two ways to go about it. You can either talk like you've been there, or you can actually go there.
Right.
And learn from people, and be willing to say, hey, man, I've been the shits, like the drizzle shits. I went out and promoted a show in 2015 and drew 22 people. because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I thought I did,
right.
you know, and I had to be humbled, and I had to learn, and I had to ask questions to people who are smarter than me, you know, and now we're doing better. And now I'm trying to actually ply a trade instead of be one of those people, you know. Anybody can put on a wrestling show. Very few people can run a company. And
right.
I'm trying to prove I can run a company.
Right.
We're trying to prove that we can run a company and a promotion. And there's only two kinds of people in this business. There's people who, like you said, who chase old money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
There's two kinds of franchises. You love baseball, right, Kev?
Yep.
You're a baseball guy and a football guy. All right? So I'm going to use a football analogy.
Okay.
Washington Redskins. Why do they suck?
Ownership.
Perennially. Their ownership chases old money. They sign old guys past their prime to more than they're worth because they used to be famous. Right?
Yep.
Most times, guys. Yep. Yeah. And then there's the guys, I'm not even going to put my own team in it because God knows what the Giants are doing these days. But let's talk about, like, the Patriots. Let's talk about teams like the Ravens seem to have a really good eye for this. Finding guys who are a year away from being great. We're the next big thing. And the same thing translates over to wrestling. You look at the companies who are making it right now, like, and I'm not even going to talk about the big boys, like the GCWs, the Black Label Pros, the Black Crafts, the Limitless, and that's just a couple. They have this ability to invest in what's about to be hot. They have their eye on it. They're listening to people. And that's what I'm trying to be. You know, I'm trying to be somebody who puts his ear to the ground and figures out what's about to be that thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if we're going to bring in somebody, it's going to be someone like Jazz, who doesn't get enough respect, who doesn't get enough play, who isn't just run ragged. You know? Like, I don't want to be the 40th promotion to book a guy. I want to be the first or second or third promotion to book someone.
Right. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's, you know,
it's so rare. It's so rare that I'm right. Usually, I'm just full of shit. So
you're right. I mean, there's always an exception to, you know, the rules, of course. Yeah, you got, you know, like you mentioned, the Patriots in football. The Patriots also have the knack of signing that veteran and squeezing one last great year of football out of them, and that's it. Now, they're done after that, but they win. You know, they were like the St. Louis Cardinals used to do that in baseball. They would sign those veterans and squeeze that one last year of ability out of them, and then move on. You know, that's why their payrolls weren't always the highest in the league, but they won because they spent their money wisely. So in wrestling, yeah, it's easy to go out and spend $10,000 on two guys just to put asses in the seats. But if the show is terrible, people aren't going to come back regardless of who you bring in.
But here's the thing. Even if that show is great, even if that one show is great, you didn't do anything that somebody else couldn't do.
Right.
You didn't do anything special. Great. Like, perfect example. You want to bring in, say, Penta and Ray Phoenix, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing wrong with that. Penta and Ray Phoenix are unbelievable. They are incredible, world-class talent.
But they're becoming household names.
You didn't... Right. But you aren't great because you booked them. Your promotion's not great because you booked them. They're great, and you paid them money. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, there's a difference. And there's no fan is going to go, oh, well, Promotion Z had them 1 month, so I'm going to come back next month. No, you haven't done anything compelling. You haven't done anything unique. You haven't told a story that's yours. You haven't built up your own roster. And that's why, like, at Synergy, we have about 10 guys that no matter what we do, and there's always going to be some flavor of the month stuff, and there's always going to be some things that we're going to rotate to keep things fresh. Mm-hmm. But there's always going to be that 8 to 10 guys who are always here, who are always telling stories, who always interact, who always are at and near the top of the card. You know, because you got to build your core and you got to respect your guys who have been with you from the beginning. Otherwise, you don't have an identity.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, you've done this long enough. You know, I attended a couple.
I appreciate that, but I'm still very new.
You are. I mean, you could be in this business for a decade, and there's always going to be that guy that's been in there longer, and you're always going to be, you know, looking up at somebody else that's been doing this longer. But again, I'm that type of person where I don't give a shit how long you've been doing something. If you're not doing it right, then all those years don't mean squat to me. You know, or if you're still doing things the way you were 20 years ago and you haven't moved on and evolved into the new generation of this business, then, you know, I don't care how many years, you know, you're doing this. I could care less. That makes me laugh. Anytime I've been doing this 30 years. Yeah, I don't really care. It does nothing for me, you know?
Well, this is all I'm going to say, though. I mean, until I am so successful that I can't be denied or argued with, I'm not going to preach to anybody because I'm just another dude trying to make it.
Not saying you should. Not saying you should, but look,
I'm just you've done things in the past. The way I'm doing it, yeah.
You've done things in the past where your heart was in the right spot. You did CTW wrestling. You was all charity shows. You know, you tried to bring in sponsors. You tried to, you know, you brought in some decent crowds at times, and it was all about the charitable event that you were representing. And you know what? That, to me, you can never fail. As long as that charity gets that money, you can never fail at what you're trying to do. Because
we're not going to talk about people who don't give the charities the money. That's another podcast for another day. Am I right?
We've hit on that numerous times. Yeah, but again, like, your heart was in the right place. Now, sometimes it wound up, you know, flopping because the people that you were doing it for didn't uphold their end. I mean, I do remember going to a show on a baseball field that the host neglected to do any advertising whatsoever.
But that's me learning.
Right.
That's me learning that putting butts in seats isn't somebody else's job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe my heart's in the right place on those old shows, but maybe I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know, and you know, also you look back at those old CTW shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why should anybody have trusted me to put on a good show? Nobody knew who I was. I hadn't done anything. I was presumptuous enough to think I could just walk into the business with no ties or connections or proof that I had done anything, and then I could put on a show and a bunch of people would show up. I'm older and wiser enough to say that, you know what, I walked in and I was kind of, you know, I went about things, my heart was in the right place, but I didn't do it the right way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I had to learn that I was not coming in. I came in with good intentions, but I didn't come in with the proper respect for the business.
Right.
And I had to learn that respect.
And
I'm lucky enough that I managed
with any profession.
I'm lucky enough that I managed to cross paths with the right people at the right times,
mm-hmm.
whether it be being blessed with an opportunity to work in the last days of Jersey All-Pro Wrestling or what have you, that I learned some of that proper respect from and the ways to go about it.
Right.
So there we are. And that's why I get to sit here tonight and talk to you about the show this Saturday, which I am super, super stoked for, to be real. Like, I'm honest, I'm fanboying about my own show a little bit. I'm real excited.
I mean, you and I, and a lot of people don't know, you and I we go back almost 7 years. We go back when I was just becoming an on-camera commentator. Like, I was just starting when I met. I met you at UWA Elite.
Sweet Jesus. We met each other. We met each other in 2013, I want to say, when they were still at the Metuchen Sportsplex, moving into
mm-hmm.
where they are now in South River. And yeah, I was just a dude who thought that I was just a dude 7 years ago who thought that being a commentator was just showing up and doing my best Bobby Heenan impression. Like, I didn't know. And it's been a long time, dude.
Hey, we all have growing pains.